Hello friends, we have been discussing canons of idea plane and we have seen that the canons guide the classificationist in the design of a scheme of classification, and we have discussed the canons for characteristics and canons for succession of characteristics. Now we will be continuing with these canons, and in these list of canons right now we will be discussing canons for arrays. In a little time we will discuss what is an array and we will continue with these canons, but I will read out the canons for arrays for you. These are canon of exhaustiveness, canon of exclusiveness, canon of helpful sequence, and canon of consistent sequence. Now, I present before you a diagram where I have tried to explain what is an array and chain. And my purpose of explaining an array and chain to you is that we have canons for array and canons for chain. Therefore, we should know what is an array and what is a chain. Before telling you an array and chain, I would like to tell you the importance of these concepts of array and chain. In classification, we should always remember that we always have a universe, and the universe is a mass of entities. These entities could be concrete or these could be conceptual. When I say mass of entities, means these are not ordered, they are in any particular order. In fact, they are disordered, they are chaotic. We want to bring an order out of this chaos. This is the purpose of classification. Now, when we have this universe, there in the process of classification, while we apply characteristics in succession, we have seen in the canons of characteristics and canons of succession of characteristics, how should we apply these characteristics one after the other. If you see your display here, you see a diagram wherein you find boxes, and in these boxes you find they are boxes at different levels, and you find some numbers written in these boxes. The top box has a number 0. Basically, this is the universe. This is the largest universe. This is the biggest universe that we are handling. The universe could be any. It could be a universe of the subjects in totality, that means all the subjects in this universe. Or it could be a universe of science, or it could be a universe of social sciences, or it could be a universe of physical sciences. It could be anything. So, universe is a universe, means it is a mass of entities. Since we want to study these, we want to handle these, we want to display the documents on these subjects in an order which makes these documents usable, so that people are able to use these, read these, understand these. Therefore, we try to follow this in terms of arrays and chains. In this diagram, you find a number of arrays and a number of chains. Before telling these arrays and chains, I would like to say that out of these universes, other universes are coming out, are emerging. Like from the universe 0, the box with the number 0, the universes that are emerging are 1, 2 and 3. Out of the universe 1, you might say that 1 is not a universe, 1 is a class. You are right that 1 is a class, but at the same time 1 is also a universe. So, 1 is a class that comes out of the universe 0, but 1 is a universe for the classes 1, 1, 1, 2 and 1, 3. Similarly, 2 is a class that has emerged out of the universe 0, but has classes under it, or it is a universe for the classes 2, 1, 2, 2. But you would see that 3 is not a universe to any further class. That means 3 is a unitary class. It does not have further entities to divide it. So, 0 is called the original universe, and 1 is a class. But 1 is a universe to 1, 1, 1, 2 and 1, 3. 2 is a class emerging out of 0 but universe to 2, 1 and 2, 2. I very broadly tried to explain this, that this could be taken like generations in a family. In a family starts with forefathers. The first forefathers with which a family starts could be seen as like 0, which I said the original universe. Or I say in the area of knowledge, I say the universe of knowledge could be treated as the universe mentioned here as 0. Out of it, I say we have sub-universes 1, 2 and 3. The sciences, social sciences and humanities. Similarly, in a family, you can have 3 children out of these forefathers. The child 1, child 2 and child 3. From this family which belongs to child 1, there are further children 1, 1, 1, 2 and 1, 3. Out of 1, 2, further family 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2. And out of 1, 2, 1, another family 1, 2, 1 and so on it goes. So this is what this diagram depicts. So now I explain to you that 1, 2 and 3, these classes, these sub-universes coming out of 0 comprise an array. Similarly, the 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2 is an array. 2, 1, 2, 2 is another array. 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1 are different arrays. They are not one array. So what is an array? It is a number of classes. It is a number of classes derived from the same original universe. Again, I give a parallel in our daily life. We say real brothers and sisters. They have originated from one parent. They all are like an array. Now 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 is one array, but 2, 1, 2, 2 is another array. They are collateral arrays. They are arrays which are collateral, means they are arrays of the same order but derived from different original universes. I give a parallel to our daily life like cousin brothers and sisters. They are collateral arrays because they belong to the same order but they are derived from different original universes. So now I hope it is clear what is an array. Now I explain what is a chain. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. This is a chain. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. This is a chain. I repeat again. I give you an example of a chain. 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1 is a chain. So how do you define a chain? Chain means it's a number of classes linked to each other having a common original universe. So I give you a parallel from our daily life. It is a number of generations in a family. Since they are all linked to each other from their forefathers, they comprise a chain. So in a chain, there is a universe and there are links one after the other. This is the first link and this is the last link. So all this has been taken in classification because in classification we begin with a universe, we end at different classes, and therefore this concept of array, collateral array and chain has been given. Now let us talk about the canons for array. The first canon in canons for array is canon of exhaustiveness. What does this canon say? It states that the characteristic chosen to divide a universe into different classes or ranked isolates in an array should be such that it empties the entire universe into different classes. That means this array which has a number of entities, I use some characteristic to divide this into further subclasses. It should be such that they are all further put into these subclasses. If any of these entity is not able to be exhausted in one of these classes, then the canon of exhaustiveness is violated. That means the classification will not be done if these members are not grouped into one of these classes. You should be able to exhaust the entities of this universe into further subclasses on the basis of a characteristic. That is the crux of this canon. If the characteristic chosen is such that you are not able to exhaust this, then you are violating the canon of exhaustiveness. Now the next canon is canon of exclusiveness. This canon states that the characteristic chosen to divide a universe into different classes in an array should be such that each entity belongs to one and only one class. I choose a characteristic and divide this group, this universe into further subgroups or classes or ranked isolates. It should not be that this entity could belong to this group as well as this group, or this entity could be placed in this class as well as this class. This should not be there. Then if it is so, then I am violating the canon of exclusiveness. Next canon is canon of helpful sequence. We have said earlier also that in classification we group, we divide the entities of a universe or a mass of things into further subgroups. But once these are divided into subgroups, they have to be arranged also, because classification does not stop at grouping. After grouping, they should be arranged also. How are they arranged? The canon of helpful sequence guides us in arranging these entities. So what does this say? The canon states that the sequence of classes in an array and the ranked isolates in an array of ranked isolates should be helpful to the purpose of those for whom it is intended. We are doing classification with a purpose. We have a clientele for whom we are doing it. If it is not a helpful sequence, then it does not serve the purpose. That is what is canon of helpful sequence. A greengrocer arranges his vegetables. He arranges them according to use, how a person needs it at home. If he arranges it by price, that will be not a canon of helpful sequence. If a chemist arranges his medicines in a particular sequence, he does it with the purpose of serving his users as per their problem, their disease and diagnosis and company, and not by price. If he does by price, then he is violating the canon of helpful sequence. So helpful sequence has to be kept in mind. It is the sequence for whom we are doing classification. If it does not help them in classification, by classifying we are not helping them, then we are violating the canon of helpful sequence. Now this canon of helpful sequence has been guided by different principles of helpful sequence. Which sequence is helpful? How do you say it is helpful? We have said it should serve the purpose of classification for those whom we are doing. But what are the different ways in which we can place these groups amongst themselves, place these classes amongst themselves? For that, Ranganathan has given principles of helpful sequence. He says that while we arrange things in our life, we follow some principles. Similarly, he says, in library classification also, while we design a scheme of classification and we get different arrays, the members of these arrays, the classes of these arrays or ranked isolates of these array of isolates should be placed, should be arranged according to one of these principles. What are these sequence principles? If you see on your screen, we have given these principles of helpful sequence. One is alphabetical sequence. We could use names as the basis and if we use the names as the basis, we can put them in a sequence, and that sequence is alphabetical sequence. Like I say that these medicines could be placed, like if these are, let us say, I give very simple examples. Crocin, Dolo. I put Crocin first because it starts with C, Dolo with D. If it is a book on physics and chemistry, I place chemistry first, physics later. Why? Because it is an alphabetical sequence. But you all know that alphabetical sequence results into alphabetical scattering, therefore generally it is avoided. But then in those cases where alphabetical sequence helps, it serves the purpose of classification, it helps for those for whom we are doing classification, we use alphabetical sequence also for arranging the members of an array, groups of an array, classes of an array, or isolates of an array of ranked isolates. Next in order is quantitative sequence. All these that we discuss after this, after alphabetical sequence, these are in pairs. Ranganathan has given them in pairs, increasing or decreasing. They could be in an increasing order or they could be in a decreasing order. Like if we say quantity as a sequence, they could be in increasing quantity or decreasing quantity. That means if we have classes which correspond to some quantity, they could be arranged relative to each other in increasing quantitative sequence or decreasing quantitative sequence. Like I say, I want to arrange the places, geographical places. Now if I say, we can say a village, a town, city, district, state, country, world. Now what I am doing? I am following a increasing quantitative sequence because their size goes on increasing as per the population. Or if I go the other way around, I say I am following a decreasing quantitative sequence. Similarly, it could be the property on the basis of which we group them relative to each other could be quality. The quality again could be increasing quality or decreasing quality. At times we have qualitative measures also by which we could correlate the members of an array, and we could arrange these members in an increasing qualitative sequence or a decreasing qualitative sequence. Similarly, time could be a characteristic. These classes could be correlated with time and we could place these in an increasing time sequence or a decreasing time sequence. We have a very common example. We say ancient history, medieval history, modern history. This could be a time sequence. This is a increasing time sequence, or the other way around will be a decreasing time sequence, or it could be a complexity sequence, increasing complexity, decreasing complexity, or it could be a spatial sequence. If the things lie in space, we could place them in a spatial sequence, north to south, east to west, or the other way around. Like if we want to arrange the geographical places in the world, we could follow any of these sequences. Or it could be a traditional sequence. Generally, we arrange things in a particular order. So that order is called traditional sequence. Like we divide our subjects in a particular way. We say sciences as physical sciences, biological sciences. Within physical sciences, we say physics, chemistry, mathematics, and like that. So we could follow a traditional sequence also. Or we say in medicine, we say this is the allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, naturopathy. These are all traditional sequences. Or we could follow a literary warrant sequence. What is that literary warrant sequence? That a subject has literature and another subject also has literature. It has more literature, this has less literature on it. This is a comparatively new subject. So it could be a increasing literary warrant or a decreasing literary warrant. So you might be worried, you might be getting concerned, so many different ways in which we could do, but then these are really used by designers of schemes of classification. They follow the principles of helpful sequence to place the different members, different classes of an array of which could be classes, could be ranked isolates, and they follow the principles of helpful sequence. Let us move further. Canon of consistent sequence. This again, to bring in consistency among the classes or ranked isolates in an array, Ranganathan has given, it states that the sequence in which classes in an array are arranged using the principle of helpful sequence. We have followed some principle of helpful sequence to arrange the classes in an array. It says that it should be parallel in all such arrays in which these classes or ranked isolates occur, till the insistence on this parallel sequence does not counter other important requirements. That means, if certain isolates or certain classes occur in different subjects, their sequence should remain the same. Like I say that I give you an example of an evolutionary sequence. We say child, we say youth, old aged, and whether this number of members of an array occur in education, or they occur in medicine, or they occur in psychology, the sequence should remain the same. That is what is the canon of consistent sequence. Now comes the next list of canons, that is canons for chains. We have already studied, we have already discussed and learned what is a chain. There are canons for chain also. And there are two canons in canons for chain. One is the canon of decreasing extension, the other is canon of modulation. Now, canon of decreasing extension says extension refers to the scope of a class. That means it refers to how many characteristics are required to reach that class from the original universe. The more the number of characteristics required to reach to that class, the extension will be less. The less the characteristic, the extension will be more. Opposite of extension is intension. That means the more the characteristics required to reach a class from the universe, the intention is more. So, extension more, intention less. Intention more, extension less. Like library information science, it has more extension, but library classification science, library classification has less extension. Library classification has more intention compared to library science. Now, the canon of decreasing extension. This canon states that in a chain, as we move down the extension of classes, keep on decreasing and intention keep on increasing. Now, let us discuss the canon of modulation. It states that a chain of classes or ranked isolates should comprise of one class or ranked isolate of each and every order that lies between the classes of the first link and last link. As I had shown you in that diagram, if there is a chain and there are different links, like let us say the first link is of order 0, last link is of order 6. This canon of modulation says between this link of first link of order 0 and last link of order 6, there should be classes of each order. That means order 1, order 2, order 3, order 4 and order 5. No class of any particular order should be missing. This is what is canon of modulation. Now, the canons for filiatory sequence. Actually, once we have formed groups, subgroups, classes, subclasses, isolates, ranked isolates, they have all to be arranged relative to each other. That is, how they should be related, how they should be arranged in relation to each other is guided by the canons for filiatory sequence. This word filiation comes from affiliation. In what order these classes or ranked isolates should be put related to each other is guided by the canon of filiatory sequence. In this, there are two canons, canon for subordinate classes and canon for coordinate classes. Now, what does this canon for subordinate classes says? It states that in a coalesced array, what do we mean by a coalesced array? That all arrays of different orders put together in relation to each other is a coalesced array. In a coalesced array, the subclasses of a class. The subclasses of a class should immediately follow the class. There is a class like say 2-1 and there are subclasses 2-1-1 and 2-1-1-1, 2-1-1-1-1. So it says that all these classes should follow the class 2-1. The 2-1 has subordinate classes. All these subordinate classes should follow the class from which they are being derived. This is canon for subordinate classes. Now the canon for coordinate classes. It states that in a coalesced array, I again repeat, coalesced array means all arrays of different orders put in relation to each other. The consecutive classes in an array should not be separated from each other by any other class other than the classes originating from them. Like I have a class 2-1, I have a class 2-2, I have a class 2-3. They should all be kept together. This is what canon of coordinate class says. But the canon of subordinate class says that between 2-1 and 2-2, all classes that have originated from 2-1 should be kept. That means, what is the order of coalesced array? 2-1, 2-1-1, 2-1-1-1-1 and so on, then 2-2, then 2-2-1, 2-2-1-1, 2-2-1-1-1 and then 2-3. So these are the canons for coordinate classes. So we have discussed different canons of idea plane and we have seen that if we follow these canons, we are able to achieve classification. We have begun from the original universe. We have been able to see how to apply characteristics to divide this universe into sub-universes, into classes and ranked isolates. And further, we have also seen these canons guide us how to arrange these subclasses, and therefore these canons guide us for the whole work of library classification. And therefore we have seen that below the laws which are there for a discipline, there are canons for a subject, and these canons for subject library classification are all given at the idea plane, and if we follow them, we are able to design a scheme of classification which is most scientific in nature, and we are able to achieve a freely faceted analytico-synthetic scheme of classification by not only by these canons, but there are other canons also, postulation approach also, that help us to achieve this. I hope things are clear to you. The more you read about this in literature further, you will get more clarity, and also try to see how it is applied in the schemes of classification, how designers of schemes of classification have applied these canons, and you would see that in colon classification they are applied at every stage, though may not be applied in all schemes of classification. Thank you.